How do we find the right dosage of complaining? Do we not all love a good old complaining session where we complain to others about other people, the weather, the traffic, politics? There's a good reason and positive reason for us to actually do complain. But there's also bad, or should I say negative side effects for ourselves and others. So find out in this video what the right reasons for complaining are and the right dosage for complaining and how you can get there. Welcome to the series Mental Health Bites. Navigate life, thrive, and have positive impact. We all love doing it. When we are upset or we feel wronged or we're in a bad mood, we receive a bad service. We like to complain either to ourselves or, much more effectful, to others or about the situation. And yes, there is a difference between general complaining, customer complaints, and venting. Venting means you let off steam. You deal with a strong emotion like anger or frustration. You express your feelings. And afterwards, you most likely feel a bit better. You don't mean at that moment to change anything about the situation. You just want to get it off your chest. And venting can be a very healthy effect because it helps you to regulate emotions, as long as you don't let it out on others, really. With a customer or service complaints, you have the intention to change something. You received a dissatisfying service or product and you want this to be rectified. And if done right and not in a rude manner, these types of complaints are very helpful and productive because they do help to change the service and improve the product. General complaining is to talk negatively about anything really that you find annoying, anything but yourself. They serve to express the unhappiness or the dissatisfaction about a situation. More often than not, done without the intention to change anything. I mean, there's nothing really you can change about the weather or the traffic or the neighborhood, but it still feels good to complain. There's actually a psychological reason for complaining. Complaining creates a bond with others. The people you complain with feel closer to you at that moment because you all have something in common. And may it simply be the noisy construction site in front of your building. Complaining about that forms a social connection, social belonging, which we all strive for. And sure, we all complain from time to time to share emotions and opinions and feel understood and assured by others. So complaining gives us relief. Complaining also takes the attention or responsibility away from ourselves. It directs negative emotions that we might feel at that moment away from us to somewhere else. Others are doing something wrong or the circumstances are wrong. It's not us being wrong or doing something wrong. We're not at fault at this moment. Or we at least don't want to feel being at fault. Complaining can be very productive if you have solid reasons for complaining. If you're, for example, looking for empathy response, if you want others to understand and support you, and if that leads you to thinking about new ways to handle a situation. Complaining becomes problematic if done excessively, without direction or purpose, or if you go in circles with it. So, for example, you start complaining about the noisy construction site, which brings you to the dysfunctional city services, which takes you to the homeless crisis in your city, which then leads you to talk about the useless politics and the economic injustice, which then takes you to climate change, and then back to the construction site, which was there because the road was washed away by heavy rain. Think for a moment what complaining of that sort does to a mind and to the people that get complained to. Heavy complaining primes your mind to look for everything that's negative or not working. So the mind scans everything negative. It jumps from one of those topics to the next. And the more often this is done, the more often the neural network connections get strengthened because they are heavily used. This is called neuroplasticity. The brain fortifies connections used regularly. So in the future, new negative circumstances get registered more quickly or will be remembered to be added to that complaint list. And so your general perception is most likely to get tainted by more negative events. So naturally, that takes mood and energy down. And as more it's used, you see the life more negative than positive. The people who listen to these complaining episodes get a full dose of that negative mindset. They themselves are not immune to negativity. It literally takes their energy down and their mood. They most likely feel annoyed. Complaining can increase negativity altogether, which we have all enough around us anyway. So no wonder that people who complain a lot are more often than not avoided. So how do we find the right dosage of complaining? Generally, it is always good to first raise your awareness about your personal complaint habits. Check whether complaining is something you do once in a while, or is it something you do a lot and on a daily basis? Also, is it a topic or circumstances related to complaining? As higher your self-awareness is about complaining, as more choices and chances you have to change it. If you find yourself leaning more towards complaining rather than less, you might want to check whether there's a deeper dissatisfaction or emotional problem in your life that is nagging at you and that shows up in complaining. Then it might be a good idea to look for support to get to the bottom of things. Or maybe your complaining mode is something you picked up from your family or your work environment or in a relationship you hold. And it simply over time became a habit. Then indeed, you can set yourself the challenge to change things around. You, for example, can go on a complaint challenge. Pick any day in a week to pledge to yourself to not complain that one day. So every time you're about to complain, stop yourself in your tracks, take a deep breath, and look for something positive to say instead, however small or insignificant it might be. First, this will increase your complaint awareness. And second, if you practice this more often, it will also retrain your mind to look for more the positive things in your day. You can also do this challenge with an entire team. It's really fun. Every time someone in your team complains and becomes aware of it or is caught, that person throws in a couple of cents in a collective jar. You will be amazed how this changes the interactions in a team and how much more aware you all become of the complaining mindsets and topics you hold together. Another tip to navigate complaining habits is to think twice about complaining. So when you're about to do it, ask yourself 2 questions. What feeling are you having at this moment? Just notice. Most likely it's an uncomfortable one. And then let this feeling just be there for a moment without pushing it away. Remember that feelings come and go. They are not here to stay. You might even find out what caused you to feel this uncomfortable at that moment. Second question you ask yourself is that topic really worth complaining about? If you find it is, then go for it. Complain to your friends and colleagues. If it's rather meaningless, don't act about it. And again, look for something positive to remark on or don't say anything at all. That will bring your complaint ratio down without asking you to not complain at all. I promise you, once you get your attention to this topic, you will be much more aware about your own patterns around complaining and around other people and how often they complain. At the end of the day, complaining without aiming for positive change is pretty unproductive and not very helpful for oneself nor for the community in general. And that is why finding the right dosage and also regularly looking for what is working in your day and what is beautiful and right in your life, that lightens up your mood and your community. If you like to learn more about mental health bites like this one, simply subscribe and become part of this community. My goal is to set us all up for more joy, for more meaningfulness, and for more impact in our lives. so that we all can profit from that.